Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of news? Maybe. Charges were announced of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for Ethan Crumbly's parents, which you can see pictured here. They ended up being out of town. I don't think so. They ended up being found in Detroit. Their car was spotted. They were taken into custody and will be facing the charges, probably more now, like maybe fleeing, evading, I don't know. But I was really kind of hoping it would end up something like this situation that we had way back when. You know, Bonnie and Clyde. Now, some more Maxwell Epstein case updates, because nobody wants to hear about it, and I'm here to tell you about it. There was a manual made for the caretaker of the house who was expected to do the job of about 10 people, and I'm just going to read you off some of the stuff that they were required to do and or not say or whatever. Here we go. They were given a list of words you do not say, which included, yeah, sure, no problem, you bet, gotcha, right, and I don't know. They were instructed that items in their pockets must not create a bulge or be visible, and advised to not address Mr. Epstein, Miss Maxwell, and their guests with your hands in your pocket. When they were being a chauffeur from the airport, they were instructed to keep conversation at a minimum. When you're driving Mr. Epstein or Miss Maxwell, keep your hands on the wheel. Your cellular phones should be placed on vibrate. At no time should you answer private calls. Under grooming and guest relations, Epstein staff is instructed that being unobtrusive is key. So basically, stay the fuck out of our way and make it seem like you don't exist. Followed by this statement, remember that you see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing, except to answer a question directed at you. Respect their privacy. Do not discuss personal problems with guests. If you are answering the telephone, unless otherwise instructed, never disclose Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell's activities or whereabouts to anyone. The security of the house and Mr. Epstein, Miss Maxwell, and their guests is your first consideration and should be uppermost in your consciousness. We're getting deep, folks. How fucking crazy is that? Yeah. That's just the household manual that we're getting into now. What else is about to come out from this? Let's just say that there was no child sex ring, which there was. Let's just say there wasn't. Who the fuck writes a manual like that? Holy shit, what am I, a fucking robot? Other fucking bullshit COVID corona news, the Omicron or however you want to fucking say it, is now in the United States, like I, pretty much thought it was once they came out and said it was in South Africa. They tried telling us way back in January of 2020 that they had this virus under control. I don't know if anybody remembers, but I seriously do. There was a press conference that came out in January from Chicago of some lady that had this virus, mysterious virus, but it was under control. They had her quarantined. Everything was going to be fine. And 2 months later, the fucking country shit bricks. So pretty much assumed it was here. But they're underscoring increasing concerns because it's spreading twice as quickly as the Delta, which was considered the most contagious. But what they're not telling you is that the reports from the South Africa are saying that it's even less deadly and less symptomatic than Delta and original COVID and Lambda and all Mu and all these fucking variations and mutations. So it's basically turning into a common cold virus. In fact, there was an article said that the Omicron, or however you want to say it, virus has picked up common cold-like symptoms. Whoa. I'm done with COVID. Stupid news. There is a dude in Maryland that must have had a snake problem in his house, an infestation. He decided to try to smoke the snakes out. Let's just poof, get them out, smoke them out. And then he, lit the smoke and whatever he did by combustibles in his basement, and his whole house caught on fire. It was a large structure fire that destroyed a Maryland home in November. It was caused by the homeowner's ill-fated attempt to clear a snake infestation by smoking them out. Idiot. In other news, local Michigan news, the minimum wage is about to go up to $9.87 per hour. Still can't survive on that at all. Especially when inflation is 6.5%. It's the minimum wage increases aren't even matching the inflation, so we're just getting farther and farther and farther behind than we already were. It's kind of baffling how we have this set up for 2031 for the minimum wage to increase, but from $9.87 next year to 2031 it'll only get to $12.05. So we're talking about $2.18 increase over almost 10 years. Okay, all right, fucking geniuses. There was also something stated about how the minimum wage will not increase in a year if the unemployment percentage is above 8.5%. So for 2021, 2020, the rate was 9.9%. So that's why there was no increase last year of a measly couple cents for you to appreciate and praise God for. Other than that bullshit news, better news, there was a podcast released earlier this week with John, the video guy for the podcast, and we talked about his time as a Marine and his service, and it was some pretty crazy stories. And he wasn't even on the front lines. He was at the back. He was a mechanic, so you get to kind of hear a little bit different story, different perspective on war in Afghanistan and what it's like, when you're not out there in the field and you are back at the base. So that was pretty interesting. Got a bunch more guests coming up. Hopefully we don't have a bunch of cancellations so I can keep up on twice a week podcasts. But anyways, yeah, getting ready to go do this show tonight. I'm not sure if I'm releasing this tomorrow or today before the show, but the Yuletide Slaughter at the Park 2, and it's turned into a benefit for the Oxford shooting victims' families for funeral costs or any sort of therapy services that they might need afterwards to deal with, the event that took place. I couldn't imagine being in that position. So we decided to have all the bands, they're going to donate their money. The Park Theater is going to donate their portion to those victims in a Genesis Credit Union account over in Oxford. So, other than that, Oxford strong. Everybody keep your chin up. We can't let people, that do this bring us down as a nation and a country. We can't let it bring down our whole conscience and just think that, we have to take away all the guns. Because there is a really big problem with mental health in this nation, and a big problem with fucking parenting. So why don't you fucking teach your kids right and fucking actually pay attention to them? Thanks. We'll see you next time on News?